Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Diesel and Iron. My name is Rick, and lo and behold, we're in the podcast studio. As you can tell, it's looking pretty good. This side we ran out of money. You can see the blotches on the wall. It's fading out. That's Brian's terms, but we ran out of money. With that, getting to it, guys. Let's get at it. Today we're going to talk about what's it take for a takeoff on a job. I know we talked about a little bit about bidding some work, a little bit of mobilization, some material costs. We talked about some manpower, what's it cost for work comp, insurance, mobilization, kind of what's in the basics of it. But getting into a job site, whether we're talking about a residential job or a commercial job or an industrial job, what's it take for a job takeoff? Well, if you don't have blueprints and there isn't a little index that tells you what all the little fancy lines are, and you could take your ruler, your scale, and scale off how many linear feet of pipe, and or put the import-export on a software, you have to do all this stuff by hand. So you don't have all the data to help with the technology side to get the data, right? So whether you're doing it long form by hand, like an as-built, just walking on the job and you're there to solve a problem, or you got a blueprint and a builder or a customer wants a driveway install with a bunch of culvert or gas pipe or water main, whatever the unit is, you have to start trying to figure out how to get pricing for a unit. So what's in a material takeoff? Well, first, let's just do basic silt fence. Whether that's you walking around with a measuring wheel, wheeling the job site off, scaling a blueprint, knowing how many linear feet it takes of silt fence to go up. Same thing kind of goes into culverts, water main, storm, sewer, any kind of utility trenching. You have linear feet that you're either going to measure off by wheel or you're going to scale blueprint. So with that being said, kind of holding on that point, what I would do trying to figure out my material takeoff, you have to start figuring out what's the unit price for that linear foot. Let's just talk about water main, right? Water main, let's say we're going to just use a stick of pipe. Let's just throw a number out there that it's $80 a linear foot. Well, you need to know how many feet a stick of pipe's going to go. We already said 10. How many sticks is it going to take to get 1,000 linear feet? And then always figure, for example, 10% waste, okay? You don't want to get too crazy on your material. You don't want to inflate the number where you have a bunch left over unless you have multiple jobs where you can move material to material, which is fine to get a little relaxation to save some money because you're buying in bulk. But again, when you're estimating, you don't want to get so much surplus that your waste of money is just sitting there, whether it's in your yard or on a job site. It goes for culverts, sewer pipe. You got to know how many linear feet is in a stick of pipe, whether you're using like a Schedule 40 4-inch PVC sewer pipe. PVC, I think we get them in 10 foot, but at SDR 26 or 35, which is a gasket sewer pipe, they come in 14 feet. So don't just assume how many feet come in a stick of pipe. Ask the supplier what's the price per foot, and then how many feet come in a stick. Okay. Going down just the list a little bit, then you also need to know how much the delivery is, or if there's a minimum, or what the quota is. That way, that starts helping you kind of build a model of what your material takeoff and the pricing is going to be. And it's just doing your homework. I know it seems like it's just big and scary and expensive, but it goes back to just being simple math on a piece of paper, writing it down, and then make sure when you're talking to these people, let's just call that water main, like we said, I think I called it $80. Is $80 with tax or without tax? Don't just take the $80, times it by the linear feet, and that's the job cost of the material. You need to know also, is there sales tax? Is there gaskets that you have to buy? Is there lubricant that you have to buy for the pipe? What's all involved? And obviously there's different phases, different steps for pressurizing, chlorinating, soap gaskets, glue and primer. So you need to know roughly how much that material is also as you're putting what pieces of pipe together. The other thing is on material takeoff, we're going to talk about land balancing a little bit, whether we're shaving off a hillside or we're building a freaking full-blown industrial parking lot. How much topsoil is on the job? Where's it going to go if you're going to burn it on the job? How many tons or yards, whatever you like to use. I do a lot of tonnage work, so I really like the tons because it converts over to our trucking industry up here in Michigan. But you need to know how many tons or yards it's going to take. Export or import, whether you're hauling it off the job or you're importing the material from a gravel pit or another job site. Where's it going? What's the cost on the material? You need to know your trucking. You need to know your input for labor. You need to know your machine costs. You need to know how much you're charging for that machine per hour, or if you're doing a unit price or a footage price or by the ton. However you bid is correct. You just have to put it in what I call as a model. You make this model of how you're going to bid this work. Doing demolition up here for export and import of concrete material, some places love it. They'll take it, they'll crush it. Some places it makes more sense to find a farmer and go dump it in his field and let him fill in a sinkhole. You need to know the costs on your takeoff, because how much is, for example, your trucking bill going to be, or how much is it going to cost, how much effort, how much money and effort, better way to word it, is it going to take to move this material, whether it's concrete, sand, gravel, where's it going, what are we doing with it? They do make a couple software programs that are out there that you could kind of trace all the contour lines, and it will help you figure out your yardage and tonnage, and estimate what materials getting imported and exported. Building a spreadsheet, that's what you need to know, is your unit prices, how much you're dealing with, because it also is going to help you kind of dictate what size machines, how much you have to move with a semi, gravel trains, haul trucks, scrapers. What's it all involved? Because sometimes you would think throwing a D9 out there and pushing it over to a little 4-yard wheel loader or 5-yard wheel loader makes sense loading trucks. For some jobs it will, but some jobs it would make more sense just to bring the excavator in and peel it off in layers, because on the financial side, that just made more sense for the applications you were in, because you're segregating the topsoil, you're stripping off the overburden, you're leaving some where it's all leaving off the job site, and you're able to load trucks, so you're multitasking, and maybe you're hitting a vein of sand that you could turn around and sell. So what are you dealing with? That's basically the logistics of material takeoff. Knowing your linear footage, knowing the kind of soils, the terrains that you're in, what access and availability do you have towards the trucking company? Mechanics, they kind of come into play, gravel pits, and lead time. Sometimes they call out on some of those takeoffs. If you call the engineer or the company you're working for, or even the homeowner, sometimes the availability is determined by price, waiting period, how urgent, and sometimes it's just dead straight that this is what we have to use. So that's basically just a highlight of the material takeoff. I wouldn't really get too wrapped up in it, but you just got to know what you're dealing with, because right now this is what starts making and breaking a job. If you don't know the total cost of just your material and how much effort and money you're going to spend doing this job or developing, you need to do just a little bit more research. go do a quick little driveway install and culvert and import some material and export it. Write it down on paper. Start with something that simple, and let's say, I don't know, it's a $10,000 job and you think you're going to make X. What is X? And try to get it down to within just $200. See how you do. Same concept, different scale, bigger liability, bigger risk. With that being said, guys, we'll catch you in the next one.